to all the requirements of the exemption, Council members are going to look very seriously at that request. The United Nations would carve out exemptions to an embargo introduced by the Security Council in 2011 during Muammar Gaddafi's attempt to suppress a popular uprising. Gaddafi's regime was deposed with the help of NATO air power in 2011, and he was ultimately killed in October of that year. The country has been in turmoil since. Dozens of militia groups have carved up the country into virtual fiefdoms, and two rival governments have been formed. Western nations and many Libyans have watched in horror as the militant Daesh group has emerged from the chaos to control a part of central Libya around Gaddafi's hometown of Sirte.
Welcome back. The UN Security Council is strongly condemning attacks by the Islamic extremist group Boko Haram and expressing alarm at its links to the Islamic State group ahead of a summit in Nigeria to evaluate efforts to combat the extremists. More details in the following report.
Nigeria on Saturday hosted talks on Boko Haram with regional and Western powers, hoping for closer military cooperation and help with tackling the conflict's dire humanitarian fallout. The leaders of Benin, Cameroon, Chad and Niger attended with French President François Hollande, US Deputy Secretary of State and Britain's Foreign Minister, delegations from West African and Central African blocs, plus the European Union have also been invited. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari, who has vowed to defeat Boko Haram before the end of his first year in office, was scheduled to meet Hollande at the presidential villa in Abuja. Both countries recently signed an agreement on closer military cooperation, including intelligence sharing, and France is keen to help implement a regional solution to insurgency. Paris has traditionally concentrated on its former colonies surrounding Nigeria and sees itself as well placed to help closer ties and longer-term economic development in the troubled region.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're glad to be joined today by Dr. Sherif Amir, political analyst. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
And our main topic today, of course, is going to be the situation in Libya, and the Egyptian Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry is currently in Libya to follow up on the peace talks. How do you view the significance of this visit?
It's a sign to all the international community that Egypt has a strong role in the peace process in Libya. Although some are trying to undermine Egypt's role, but it's a fact. We know well the region, and Libya's security is an important topic for Egypt's national security. That's why I think that the international community, the EU or the United States, cannot get through this without Egypt. Egypt has an important role on the political and on the military level in Libya, because it's a fragile country and it's time for an assistance which is from Egypt.
Right, but how do you assess the role of Egypt so far regarding the Libyan case and the Libyan situation, especially that Prime Minister Sarraj was visiting Egypt very recent? How do you see the significance of this visit, and how do you see the role of Egypt with regards to the Libyan crisis?
Egypt has saved this region from a disaster. And why? Because we have kept all the links with all the factions there in Libya, even the opposite factions. And we were working, Egypt was working very strongly on guaranteeing the security in Libya, even if there's some problems there, but the escalation couldn't go further than that. Egypt is a sovereign and strong country which will not accept the fact that its backyard will be a base of terrorism. We have shown it before, and we are ready to show it every time, but there is a very important point that we should stress on it. Egypt is a peacemaker in this region. Egypt is the only capable power in this game in Libya to to bring peace and security. And the visit of our foreign minister is a sign that still on the diplomatic path, we're still there, and we will work to the end. And I think that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met the head of the Libyan Council, Mr. Sarraj, and although from the beginning we didn't have common grounds with him, but still we worked with him, and we're working with the military in Libya, the official factions, the official regular army, to lift the embargo on it. So all the tracks are open for peace and security.
Right. Leading foreign ministers also met from Europe and the Middle East, met in Vienna to discuss the, to bolster support for the new unity government. How do you see the outcome of this meeting that took place in Vienna?
It's positive because we have heard that for the first time the West is calling for an uplifting of the embargo, on the arms embargo on the military in Libya. Egypt was calling for that since the downfall of the Gaddafi regime. Now Libya is taking a path, a popular path through democracy, so now they have to have an army to ensure all that, to ensure the security. And I think that the outcome of these meetings shows more and more that Egypt was right from the beginning, and Egypt was right to offer cooperation with all the countries, except of course some who are trying to destabilize the region like Turkey and Qatar. But still we were working with the US and the Europeans who very positive about the problems concerning the lifting of the embargo, and they gave us a hard time on it, but still we kept on and we are guaranteeing the security there. Some are saying that we are arming a faction against another, that Egypt is fighting a war on behalf of a faction. That's not true. We are helping the official army, which has the role to protect the Libyan soil. And we are open also with the political agreements that took place in Sukhayrat a few months ago. So we are open in all ways, but we will not accept the fact that Libya would turn to be a ground of a base for terrorism and a chaos for everyone in the Mediterranean Sea and for Egypt.
How far do you think the new Libyan government, the legitimate government, will succeed in its role in Libya?
They still have some difficulties. Let's say it clearly and call things as they are. They have difficulties. They have to reunite all the factions because some factions refuse till now to accept the fact that the new government is in place. But
what are the main challenges facing this government?
Well, it's international interference. Because, as I said, two countries like Turkey and Qatar are acting against this peace and security in this region. But I think that some powers have to accept the fact that they have to cease from backing a faction against the other. So peace would take place, because when a faction is, they're all, unfortunately, they're all armed. When a faction is armed and prepared to wage war and has an endorsement from the outside, I can't see on the short level that we will have a real peace process. So someone has to stop the interference, and then political and military and security requirements would be accepted and put on the table for all the Libyan factions.
Right. Do you believe that the instability in Libya has led to the rise of the so many militant groups that are now in control, and especially Daesh, who has gained already control over Sirte?
Of course, unfortunately. And this is a very heavy task for a country like Egypt, because they are our neighbors. Tunisia, they suffered from it. Algeria are taking preemptive steps always, but still the fact that Daesh has established its bases there in Sirte, that means that once the political arena would be arranged and the arms will be lifted, the arms embargo would be lifted from the regular army in Libya, a swift action would be taken, and I believe that our allies in France and Italy, they know very well they can depend on Egypt on joint operations to guarantee the security, because yes, unfortunately, the Islamic State is there, and it's a cancerous fact, and we have to act immediately to stop it.
NATO announced that it's ready to extend its role in Libya and the Mediterranean in conjunction with the European Union. How do you read this?
I read as, I have to be positive about it, because if the war against terrorism is the topic, the first and the most important topic, I will agree on it. We need all to join forces to fight, whether in the Mediterranean, whether in Africa, or even in Europe, as we have seen lately. So I think that it's a good sign that some forces are acting towards fighting terrorism and taking this threat very, very realistically. And this is something that I would like to share, that in Egypt from the beginning, from when President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi was elected, he has stressed the fact that Libya should have peace and security within to have it as a stable state. And unfortunately, the interference from the outside didn't listen to that point. But now I think that when they joined forces, they know that he was right, and a swift act should take place in the Mediterranean Sea, because this will affect Europe lately, and we will see it shortly.
Right. As Daesh has already gained control over Sirte and it's spreading in several other countries, we were seeing it in Syria, in Iraq. How do you see the threatening role of Daesh to the region, to the whole region?
I see that I cannot separate the link with the Syrian conflict, because we all know that the fighters are being having this transit between Libya and Syria all the time. So now let's wait and see what will going to happen in Syria, because I know that many of the fighters of these terrorists, they managed to arrive to Libya and to establish their bases and their networks. So they are preparing that once the ground will be calm in Syria, they will act strongly and they will be there in Libya. So I think that they will be a very, very heavy task for Europe and for Egypt. But I'm positive about the role of our armed forces, because we have put this target from the beginning, that we would not allow by any means that a stronghold of Daesh would be established on our western borders. This is a matter of national security, and we would not act diplomatically when it's dangerous for us. But still, we are opening all the ways for our European friends in France and in Italy, who have borders in the Mediterranean Sea, and they know very well they have strong friends in Egypt to act, and we will finish with these terrorist elements the time when all the wills and all the military plans and security plans will be set.
Do we expect foreign military intervention in Libya soon?
Well, the word soon, it could be, there's two types of interventions. There are special operations, and it happens. It happens at the time we're talking now.
Already
it happens.
Taking place.
Yes, it happens every day. We have some Italian, some French, some from all the countries, even Algerian. It happens. But an official campaign, I think that this would take place after the Syrian conflict will be put to an end, and then we will talk seriously about Libya. I think that Egypt has already established good relations on the military level with its friends in France, and we are capable of maybe setting a joint operation. But I think that the most important tasks now, there are 2 points. The first one the special operations that are taking place. And the second one that we would not like to forget here in Egypt, that there is an army in Libya that we should endorse and lift the embargo on it. Once the army in Libya will ask for assistance, then we will help according to the international law. So,
do you expect the arms embargo will be lifted soon?
It will take some time because some international forces don't wish to do it that quickly. They have their own calculations. And this is what I think that we had a very good way of dealing with things in Egypt because we kept asking for this, and we knew that this demand was not accepted for some time. Even some member of parliaments in the West have said that Egypt is intervening for General Haftar or other. No, that's not true. We are intervening for the people and for the security. So the embargo, I think that at a certain point, a certain part of the embargo could be lifted, and the rest of the task would be easy.
So you think a partial arms embargo will take place?
I think
will be lifted
as a first step. But once Mr. Sarraj will have his government and the government will be established, I don't see any problems for Libya to have a regular army with an assistance from Egypt or for any other friends, as all sovereign countries in the international community.
Right. We have a very long borders with Libya.
Yes.
So how can Egypt protect its borders?
We have the expertise, so I'm not worried about it. But I know that foreign intervention is focusing on this part of the western borders. But we have our special units who are dealing with these operations. We have shown when the 21 Coptic martyrs were killed in Libya. We had this military action, swift and very courageous, and we had the targets without any civilian casualties, and this was great. But still, I have to underline a problem, is that when we have these capabilities, we will have to also act against other arms would come from outside, from Turkey or from Qatar. So we will have also, not on the land, we will have in the sea forces to prevent these arms from getting there. So the task is heavy, but still we have the right people to do it, and they're strong to do it in our armed forces, and we're proud of it. And we have also our intelligence services who are capable of gathering all the information and just block the way for our enemies from arming the terrorist groups in Libya.
What will be the negative effect on Egypt if there is a war in Libya?
Well, some forces will try, of course, I'm an expert in the international law, so they will try to accuse Egypt of violating international law, of trying to interfere in Libya's affairs and hindering afterwards the peace process, as if the peace was there and our intervention just put things to halt. And that's not true. So I think that on the diplomatic track, our Minister of Foreign Affairs is working in a good way. He has good relations with the Secretary of State John Kerry, and we are working on the diplomatic track. So if there is an action on the ground or the sea or military action, there will be a diplomatic umbrella according to international law, and I'm optimistic about it.
Right, Dr. Sherif Amir, political analyst, many thanks for your insight and for your presence.
Thank you.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, with this we wrap up this edition of Africa Today. Many thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more coming up here on Nile TV International.